the giving up to understand you're making room for more of what is on your vision board, what you're manifesting, what you're praying for. Because if you don't have room for it, how can you accept it?
Hello, dear listeners. It's that time again when we stroll through the paths of ambition, desire, and success. Welcome to the Dare to Declare podcast, where we explore the enchanting world of giant manifestors who've turned their visions and goals into the stuff of legends. I couldn't help but wonder, how do some people create the lives they've always dreamed of? Is it the magic of manifesting, the power of perseverance, or perhaps just a dash of serendipity? Well, dear friends, grab your coffee cups because we're about to spill the tea on fascinating journeys of those who dare to dream big and make it happen. Join me as we sip on success stories and ponder the ever-enticing question, can we all manifest our dreams into reality, or is it just an urban fairy tale? I'm your host, Debbie Sluice, and I'm here to guide you through the labyrinth of achievement with heart and soul. Ready to dare to declare? Let's get started. Welcome and hello, friends. I am super excited. I know I say that, but really, truly, I am so pumped to introduce you to my colleague, and I'm privileged to call her friend, Tammy Stuhr. So here's a bit about Tammy. She is the CEO of Author My Day LLC, which focuses on empowering people to strengthen their courage muscle and move towards their ultimate life purpose. She is a certified human potential trainer, best-selling author, and she is a personal life coach certified by 8 to Great, as well as trained in clarity, focus, and action, coaching high-performing individuals in leadership, youth development, and other specialties. She is published University of Nebraska researcher on servant leader qualities, SLQ, and professional success skills. She holds a master's degree in leadership, education, and communication from the University of Nebraska Lincoln, together with a bachelor's degree in training and development, and empowers audiences to design the life they want, including how they live, work, play, and relate to others. She has coached thousands of adults and youth to find their talent and contribute their unique gift to the world. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you, Debbie, for having me. I'm excited to have a conversation today about the great things that happen in life when we manifest.
Absolutely. So you and I met about a year and a half ago at a luxury retreat, and it was instantaneous that we felt like we'd known each other for a long time. And since that time, I've been to Nebraska, you've been to Ontario. Who would have thought a year and a half ago? Like, so much can happen in a year. And I'm excited for you to share what's been happening in your life as well. But before we get to that, like, your education is so impressive. And, you are such a down to earth person. And I mean that in like as the highest compliment. It's just you right away make people feel comfortable and safe. And then you start sharing, like with me, you started sharing all the degrees you have and all the education, all the experience. And I keep going, what now? Like, wow. And so as a little girl, I'm just curious, what was one of your dreams? And do you feel like you're living it out right now, or is it just gone beyond that? I'm just curious as a little girl, what was one of your dreams to be when you grew up?
So I had a dual competing dream in my life. One of them was to be a teacher. And that's what I played all the time as a little girl, is teacher and reading books to my stuffed animals and my dolls and things like that. And that part I'm definitely living out. Not in, well, I guess I am in formal education because I am teaching college right now too. But for the most part, it's in an informal education setting. And so I get to write a lot of my programs. I get to develop what I see we need in the world or in the marketplace or in my community. So I really enjoy that. The other part of my dream as a little girl was my grandparents had a farm and there was a river that ran through it, and it's a major river in the United States. And the government was going to come and take away some of the acres for like flood control and things like that. And I got this passion that I was going to be this lawyer, and I was going to fight for the small farmer, and I was going to help, the world be a better place because a small farmer would have what they need and a voice. And from that, what I have found out is one of my gifts is being a voice for those that can't voice it for themselves until they have the courage to do so. And so that part I'm living, just starting to live out that part of my dream through starting my company 2 years ago. That's what I'm really excited about is just helping people find that voice.
Oh, amazing. And you mentioned courage, and we'll just jump right in because wow, like even since I've known you in the last year and a half and even in the last 6 months, the courage that you've demonstrated, you're such a role model for your clients. And so, can you talk a bit about how you're living your vision board? Like it's just like you are the poster child for this work. 100%.
Oh, so something that has happened is we sold 95% of our possessions or gave them away, sold our house. This was all 3 months ago when this started. And we are now living full time on the road in an RV. I shouldn't say on the road because we just spent 2 weeks out on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So, home is where we park our camper right now. And it's just a really good feeling to be able to know that we can chase 70-degree weather. And my week last week consisted of looking out my window. Here I am in my RV, and this is my big window here, and was overlooking the Palmico Sound, and I was watching kite surfers as I'm editing a podcast. And then over here, I walk out the door and I walk into the Atlantic Ocean for my break and put my toes in the water. And so that is the dream that I'm living. And I have my vision board here because Debbie, I did this with you. And I just wanted to let you know that this happened our first day in the North Carolina Outer Banks. And you had
Wow.
asked me when I put this on my vision board, where's your husband? And I said, he's taking the picture. And guess what he did? He took a picture of me sitting in the doorway doing my morning devotional with my dog. And so I'm excited to put that on my success stories that this whole let's go on an adventure, live in a camper has actually happened. And then we'll see if I can do this. Here's my yoga on the beach. Last week, I did all my morning yoga stretches out on the beach of the Atlantic Ocean.
So incredible. And I see the lighthouse on there too. Can you share that story?
Oh, the lighthouse story. It's amazing. So, about it, well, 20 January of 2022, I was taking a weight loss class. And I had the instructor about 5 years prior, and she had asked if any of us had our vision board from 5 years prior. And I'm like, oh, I'll run and get mine. So I ran and grabbed it from underneath the bed. I don't keep it under the bed anymore, Debbie. I know better. I learned from you. But that day I grabbed it. And as I'm walking back to the Zoom that I was on, I'm like, that lighthouse, I know that lighthouse. And the lighthouse, I just love water. And that's why it was on that vision board. And before I get back on the Zoom, I pull up my pictures of a girlfriend's trip that we had taken 3 months prior to the upper Northeast. And sure enough, I had stood within feet of where that photographer took a picture of this lighthouse. I didn't even know this lighthouse existed. We were on a lobstering cruise, and this man said, well, you have to see the lighthouse before you leave. I'm like, what lighthouse? And so I go over to this lighthouse, take this picture, and then several months later, I was there. But the really interesting thing, Debbie, is when you came to the Creative Christian Women's Retreat this this summer and was a keynote speaker for me, and thank you for that. You were so beautiful. The We were working on my vision board, and I went to look at the final product, and I had cut a picture out from a magazine you had brought from Canada. And sure enough, it was the same lighthouse from a different angle. And that's the lighthouse that you saw on my vision board today was from a different angle. And part of the reason that we're committed to living in this camper nomadic life for 2 years is so we can spend a fall up in the upper Northeast. So when I go back to that lighthouse, it'll be from the angle of being a wife and adventuring with my husband.
So amazing. I love that your life embodies manifestation. I'm watching this series on Netflix right now called Lost, and I don't know if you've seen that, but
I haven't.
it's like going back and forth in time and how everybody's connected. But truly, we are all connected, and there are no coincidences. And when things like that happen, it just makes the hair stand on your arms because it's like, wow. I mean, we teach this stuff, we know this stuff, and yet when we experience it, it really feels like you're touching something that it is in the spiritual realm for sure.
Debbie, let me tell you then a story that will make the hair stand up on your arms.
Please. Yeah, I love that.
So on August 1st, I'm sitting on the couch and I look over at my husband. Yes, we were having supper on the couch
So this year.
this year. And I
Okay.
look over at him and I said, Huh, our house was supposed to sell today. He goes, What? I go, I wrote a manifestation July 23rd in 2023 that our house was going to sell on August 1st, 2024. And he goes, For how much? And I go, Double what we paid for it. He goes, Then list our house. So literally, I found a quick picture that I'd taken at Christmas time of our house. And I put it up on Facebook, one single photo in the dark outside. Put the price, and I said, if you want to come look at our house before we get it fully remodeled, come on over. We'll have it for sale. The next morning, I'm coming home from a meeting. It's about a half-hour drive. And I hear a divine voice. And the divine voice was a commanded voice. And usually it's a fatherly, happy birthday type of voice. Not this time. This time the voice said, This home is no longer for you. I need this house for someone else. And I'm like, if I don't listen to that voice, I knew I needed to listen to it. I knew I needed to take action because to me, it's not enough just to manifest. When I have a manifestation, then I need to go take the first step towards it and do my part to meet it.
Hmm.
And so I walk into the house when I get home and I look around and I'm like, my china hutch, my grandma's china hutch. The hardest thing I'll have to do is unpack that. So I went and I started unpacking the china hutch. And then I remembered I heard a ding on my phone on my drive home. So I go check my phone, and it was a person that said, I need your house. And she had this story of raising her daughters, other houses falling through, and this new life that she needed. That morning I had prayed, Dear Lord, whoever you bring to us, please make this sell be abundant for the buyer and seller. In my mind, I had money. But you know what? The abundance that came from her being able to live next to her family to help raise her children. And then after she looked at the house, she put in an offer. Debbie, it was double what we paid for the house. And that God never
Woohoo!
stops there. It was 1,000 over that.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I love that story. I just can like hear it over and over and over again. And the piece that I love as well, like you said about the abundance, is that her parents, unbeknownst to you, lived across the road from you, who now can help raise her daughters. Like the house, it was just divinely guided. And like who sells their house on Facebook? And like, what did you say? It took a day or like very few days for this to
Oh,
all.
it was very few days.
Yeah.
And I wish I could say I was a great manifester and I believed it was all going to come through. But like as we waited for her appraisal to come in and stuff like that, I was coming up to Canada, right? And because I was about to see you, and I called the real estate agent. And I'm like, you haven't put in another offer, like for a lower amount, right? Because surely it wasn't going to appraise for that. Sure enough, she's like, everything's a go. We're still on time. There is no new offer. And so I think that other part of, whew, once I put it out there, in my case, I manifest to God and ask Him for what I want. But once I put it out there, it's really about traveling that road of faith
Yeah.
and having the courage to travel the faith and not the fear that like the appraisal's not going to come in. And that is what I think is so powerful and so peaceful when I walk that journey of faith and push aside when I'm tempted to walk the worry road.
Yeah, so good. Courage is your thing. That's your mantra, your banner. Everything falls underneath that. And when I hear the word courage, I think in society it's often seen as more as confrontational, as something that is like you're fighting against something. And I love that you just used the word peace. And I've been playing with this idea with one of my other clients around the lioness,
Hmm.
and how the lioness, she is full of courage, and yet she's stealthy, and she's, you know, does things with such intent and calm and peace. Can you talk a bit about this idea of courage and how we can create more of that in our life? Like, it took courage for you, like, and your husband too. I gotta give him a shout out for like saying put the house up for sale. Like, that took so much courage.
Right. Yes. And when we were driving off the lot with our new home, I looked over at him at the stop sign. I said, "Congratulations.
Mm,
You are doing what 99.999% of people will never do,
yep.
because unless you are forced, like with a heart attack or a stroke or something like that, to make a life change, people don't change. They stay in their comfort zone."
Mm,
And so I it's a mantra of our marriage that I might bring him along quite a few times on adventures. I grew up having vacations, and that was really important to me. And early in our marriage, I decided I needed a vacation as I was starting a new job. He had a 3-year-old daughter at the time. I literally packed up the car, drove to his job site. He worked in construction at the time, picked him up all dirty, didn't let him take a shower, and started driving west in Nebraska. I said, "We're going on a vacation." And so that kind of tone was set pretty early in our marriage, and I'm lucky because he fought for me. There was 2 years before our first date, or our first date and our second date. So this is a man that fought so hard for me. He's not about to lose me. So I'm lucky, given as many roads as I try to have him travel on with me. But it's been a fascinating journey because at the same time, I do have a partner in life. And I'm fortunate that I feel like I can talk to my partner and say, "This is really what I need." And I think that's where a lot of the courage stops in relationships, is people are so worried about making their spouse leave their comfort zone, that they don't step into the courage to have the conversations about their dreams and their manifestations. But when we listen to the divine voice, that's what I found out, because this was not me 3 years ago. This is only me in the last 2.5 years. And what had happened is I lost my voice to COVID for 43 days. And that's when I learned to listen to the divine voice. It had always been there. I just didn't know that's what it was. And what had happened is, fast forward, I get my voice back. I'm at a women's conference and I'm speaking barely because I just got my voice back. But I sat down at the table after I was done speaking, and the women at my table asked me, "What do you charge for coaching?" "I don't coach, I work for a university." "Well, what do you charge for speaking?" "All my speaking engagements outside of this one, because it was a bit more faith based, are through the university. Like, the university pays me." And then my sister happened to be there. So I had a witness watching this transformation happen. We drive away from the conference and I look over at my sister and I go, "I think I'm supposed to leave my job." She goes, "Yeah, think." And that Sunday night, I walked in the door and my husband could see there was something there. And it wasn't a smile, because I was so scared to have this conversation. At that time, not only did I carry the benefits for our family, I carried a little bit more than 50% of our wages that we were bringing in. And I looked at him and I go, "I'm supposed to leave my job." And he's like, okay, what would that look like? And talk about having to start creating a vision. And it wasn't a vision board, but man, there's a lot of financial figuring going on at that time.
Right.
But then after that, I started a Google Doc about what is my business and what would this look like and what am I being called to do? And it was powerful. And then that's also when I had pulled the book off of the shelf, Jack's Dreams of Heaven, that I had written a year earlier. And I go back to I wasn't the person I am today 3 years ago. And I had read the first edits and I had read them that I was a horrible writer and it was a horrible story because of the frame of mind I was in. When I pull those edits back out a year later, I'm like, these are the same edits, but that's not what I'm reading today. What I'm reading today is this is a beautiful story and change a couple things in the storyline and you have a great children's book. And so much of our manifestation, so much of our courage comes from developing a mindset. And it's the transformational mindset that I can transform myself. And when I'm transforming myself, the people and the environment around me will transform.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was a beautiful share. I can attest to your book as well as the little game that you
Mhm.
have that accompanies it. So I have a 5-year-old grandson, and it's one of his favorite games. We have it actually just hanging on a little knob on an outside of the cupboard because he just wants to access it and play it all the time. So so grateful. And this is such a beautiful example that like the world's waiting for you to show up. You have no idea how many lives your gifts, you talk about gifts, like will impact. And so how amazing that you had the courage to grow, to get uncomfortable, to enroll your husband in your dream, in your vision, in your purpose, and to answer the call that God placed on your heart. It's really beautiful. Something that if someone who's listening is thinking, wow, like I want to be part of that 1%. I want to be part of the 1% who doesn't wait until you've got 6 months left to live, or but I love this idea of being a digital nomad, or so we talked about the courage that it takes to exit, and I've witnessed that. But I also think that, I mean, you're in this, so I don't know if you can speak to this, and maybe 6 months from now we need to have another call. But it takes something as well. Like when we got on the call, you're talking about being settled. So what's the mindset that you're developing right now? Because I mean, manifestation, you got to get through some of the muck, you got to get through some of the uncomfortable stuff, because in order to manifest you can't be the person you were before. And so this new version of you, so tell me a bit about what that takes, Tammy, and who you are becoming and who you are.
I would say I'm becoming a more trusting person. And so I have this beautiful statue that took me over a year of putting cash in the envelope to save for it and then trusting that it would be there again in a year. And it was. And I'm talking almost 20 years ago when this happened. But anyway, this statue had a broken arm. And so when I was doing my book tour last month, Wisconsin, Michigan, and up to CU and then over to Niagara on the Lake, I had stopped at a friend's house and I knew that she was part of the art world. And I had asked her, could you help me figure out who could fix this statue because the arm was broken? And I had left it on my truck bed. Yes, I drive, or I still drive a pickup truck, but I had my own at that time. And I pulled away from her house and I heard a crash. And it was nighttime, so I kept driving down the lane. I'm like, and so I start backing up, and there's the box of my statue laying on the ground, and now it's all in pieces. So at that point, I have a decision, and I'm like, all right, whatever it is, God, whatever you have for me is so much better than this statue. Thank you
Mm,
for the time that this has served in my life. I can't wait to see what you have that is so much better that it was time for this to find a new home. And our RV is big. It's like driving a semi. And our kitchen is here in the back beside me. And I hadn't thought about this. When you're going down the road and you hit a bump, the dishes go. Well, I had brought my grandma's dishes, and almost all of them are broke now.
Oh no.
And so then it goes back to thank you for the time that I've been able to enjoy my grandma's dishes, raise my family on. I understand now that they were supposed to have a new home and it wasn't mine. So I'm going to pack up what is good and left, help them find their new home, and transition to something better you have for me.
Right. Oh,
And so that's the huge part of getting through the muck is the giving up to understand you're making room for more of what is on your vision board, what you're manifesting, what you're praying for to come into your life. Because if you don't have room for it, how can you accept it? Your arms will be so full, you'll be so heavy, and then you won't be able to go freely and peacefully and calmly live out that vision like the yoga on the beach. So that's the huge part of the mindset is understanding when something happens, it wasn't meant for you, or it wasn't meant for you at this time at in this way, but it's because there's something bigger and better for you.
right. Thank you for that. Yeah, so much courage. So tell us a bit about what you're up to right now. Like, because like you are multi-passionate and you've got, like you've got a connection, which I think is super cool to the Magnolia, to Joanna and Chip Gaines, right? Is that their last name?
Yes, I'm a little bit addicted to Waco, Texas. That would be a fair statement.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So I love that where you've got a connection to there. And but what's up next for you?
so literally, so you know that I have a children's audience and then I have an adult audience.
Hmm.
And this morning, I'm going to be in my full author gear,
Okay.
and I am headed over to about the mothership of Bass Pro Shops is where I'm staying right now. And so I'm headed over there to, well, I guess I'm going to use your book right now, but to hold up a book and get a new picture for my vision board. Because my book that I have coming out, Lightning Bug Hunters and Firefly Chasers, I want to premiere at Bass Pro Shops June 4th. So that's like a next big part of my vision. So literally this morning, I'm going over there to take that picture.
So say
My
that title again slowly. Like, and who's it for? Is it for adults or for kids?
It's for kids. So that one is
Oh,
Lightning Bug Hunters and Firefly Chasers.
oh,
But it's, of course, it's the adults who chase lightning bugs in their youth that are going to read it to their children. But my adult project that I am working on is I just signed on with a public speaking agent. And so I have a keynote address called The Playbook of Courage. I'm also writing a book called The Playbook of Courage to go with that. I also have a journal that I've started on that to go with that. So I have this going on, and then I also have a faith-based speaking path, and where I do the Touch of the Master's Hand, which are some of the stories that I've talked about today, and it features the statue because of the poem The Touch of the Master's Hand by Myra Brooks Welch. So those are my big projects. I would say the Playbook of Courage, that speech, the book is where I'm spending the majority of my creative time right now in making sure that that gets out. I also have a new partnership going on with the Happiness Coach, Cindy Nolasco, out of which you and I are in a group with her, a mastermind group, and we are doing a program called On Target to Health and Wealth, and that starts in January. We're doing a pre-launch of the Happiest Holidays Challenge coming up. So there's a lot, uh, a lot of courage seeking and helping people that want to have the courage to live that dream, whether it's the happiest holidays, whether it's to get their health on track, whether it's to figure out how to get to the wealth that and how they define wealth. And So there's just a lot of courage seeking going on right now. But yeah, my little passion project are my children's books. My big passion project is really getting in with my new agent and the speaking gigs and getting into conferences across North America.
Mm, wonderful. When I first met you, one of the things that inspired me about you is your courage to ask.
Mhm.
So we were with some influential people, and you just boldly asked your ask, and I was just really impressed with that. So let's ask the audience, that so people that are listening, if it's not you, maybe you know someone that would want to bring Tammy in to speak and to share her message about courage. Like, who doesn't need more courage? Whether you're, a preteen, teenager, right up into your 80s, we all need the courage to step into this beautiful vision that we get to create, and then the goals. And as you said, the courage to let go of what was and what is, in order to be able to accept what's waiting for us. As you said so beautifully, it's bigger and better than what we can even expect, but we need to have the courage to sacrifice. And so that's what you do, is that you support people, you coach them, you stand alongside them, you guide them, and support them. And it's like, I love that you're not just preaching it, you're living it quite literally. And that's a unique quality about you. And there are people who do not live out what they're teaching, and you are living and breathing it every day. And I love that about you and your integrity. So where can people get a hold of you?
People can go to authormyday.com and it'll have all my contact information there. You can find me on Author My Day on Facebook, on Instagram. Instagram, I'm Stuhr Tammy, I think. And then I'm on LinkedIn. Just anywhere that there's social media, you'll be able to find Author My Day and Tammy Stuhr. And then, of course, my books are on Amazon.
Right. Yes. Definitely go and get her. This is a great Christmas gift. Um, I don't actually know this answer. Do you have the game on Amazon too, or no? Is that something that you mail out?
Yeah, I don't have the game on Amazon. That goes directly through my website. So they can also get signed books from my website in addition to the game.
Like I said, my 5-year old, he really enjoys it. What's the age range for your book in the game?
The sweet spot is ages 4 to 8, but I
Mm.
will tell you, Jack's Dreams of Heaven is a book about grief and helping process grief because Grandpa shows out up without Grandma, and he hears the adults talking that she went to heaven. So he has this dream that he goes up to heaven to find Grandma, and it's really helped people process grief. So that has actually been a sympathy card for a lot of widows, has been sent that way, which has been interesting. I didn't foresee that happening. Um, but yeah, technically, I would say ages 4 to 8. And then the game is right in that same age group, although I have a group of fifth graders that fight to play over the game. So I think it's such a fast paced game and it's made to be interactive. It's kind of like Candyland with dogs. And then, of course, it has interaction because of the paw cards. Um, so those are some fun things that would definitely make a great Christmas gift. Jax Finds His Talent is the other book I currently have out. And so if you want a child to realize that they have talents and identify those talents, that is a great book to be reading to that second and third grader at this time.
Yeah, so if you're an educator, I know I have a lot of educators in my network, and also as a parent, this is definitely the book. Go get it. It's something unique. And now you've met the author, and you can hear from her. And if you want to connect with her, you certainly, I know that Tammy's always open to have conversations. So, Tammy, is there any last words that you can leave the listener for around courage?
Most definitely. So when you are sitting there and you're feeling the fear well up and you're starting to go down the worry road, take a pause and say, what would happen if I went towards faith right now? And then figure out what that action is, and make a detour and take the courage road to faith.
Love the idea of a road. It's always good to have those kind of mental images, especially when you're in a crisis. It's good. So hope that Tammy's words will just ring in your ears when you have you're at a crossroads. We get to choose either faith or fear. Those are the only two choices, and so having the courage to do that. So Tammy, thanks so much for being here. You are amazing. I cannot wait to see, like, a year and a half. Wow, like what's going to be happening in 6 months, a year from now. I know that the world needs what you have, and you have such a beautiful message, and I'm just really blessed to call you my friend. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Debbie, not only for this opportunity, but for your dear friendship.
Cheers, everybody. Dare to declare. Today, we've delved into the realm of manifesting giants, exploring the power of declaring our desires to the universe with unapologetic boldness. But before we bid adieu, I have a little something special to share with all of you dreamers out there. Introducing the Dare to Declare Vision Board magazine and online DIY Vision Board course, your ticket to manifesting greatness in style. Picture this: flipping through pages filled with inspiring images, empowering quotes, and step-by-step guides to help you create the vision board of your dreams. Whether you're yearning for that spacious condo with a view, or a love that sets your soul on fire, our magazine is here to guide you every step of the way. Dive deep into the art of manifesting with our exclusive online DIY vision board course. Led by manifesting expert, yes, yours truly, and seasoned dreamers, this course will teach you the ins and outs of creating a vision board that speaks to your heart and soul. So what are you waiting for? Join the ranks of the manifesting giants and dare to declare your wildest dreams to the universe. Head over to our website, debbiesluice.com, and grab your copy of the Dare to Declare Vision Board magazine and enroll in our online DIY Vision Board course today. Until next time, keep dreaming big and daring to declare, because in the world of manifesting, the sky's the limit.